Fort 4 and 3 has arrived, and it's making a big impact on the community and the state of RuneScape already. How so? Let's find out in this day of release video and guide. Good day, everybody. First off, I'd like to mention that to start taking advantage of the fort, you will actually have to build it first in the new quest, New Foundations. It's a very long quest because it is a very big fort for you to build single-handedly, which you will. I was going to publish a separate quest guide video, but I actually had some unfortunate recording malfunctions halfway through, so in lieu of that, please check the timestamps towards the end of this video for a brief quest run-through if you're looking for that. Now, primarily in this video, I want to give you a rundown of everything you'll need to know to get your Fort 4 and 3 up and running after the quest, and everything it brings to gameplay and quality of life for you. If you are one of the many players that hoarded regular planks and limestone bricks the week before release, good job. You'll be a step ahead here as you need a lot of these materials to build up the fort. The idea is that all materials to build the fort are prepared at this sawmill station and stone cutting station near Bill. Higher level planks will be required for higher tier buildings, but for now, you will need to first process planks in the section of the sawmill station shown with the saw, and then use them in the other section of the station to create building frames. Similarly, limestone bricks need to be cut at this station into stone wall segments. Fortunately, there's a bank chest very close by, so once you've hoarded all your supplies, you should be good to go. By the way, it took 352 limestone bricks and 92 planks, 116 planks total to make the initial structures for the quest to build up the fort, if my math and memory is right. It takes some time to prepare the supplies you need, but I noted that it is halfway decent construction experience. So those are the basics of how you build in the fort. If you were not one of the players that hoarded supplies, like me, you have a bit of work cut out for you if you don't have them already. I already had a ton of planks of all kinds from Slayer and Clues and whatnot, so I wasn't worried about that. If you're lacking the basic planks to get started, you can buy them. Very overpriced on the Grand Exchange at the moment. You can chop your own logs or kill armored zombies, which I don't recommend. By the way, you can convert logs to planks at the saw part of the bench too, if you're inclined or if you're an iron in need of quick planks. Limestone bricks are easier to stock up on if you're late, as there are several stores around RuneScape that sell them. In order of convenience, there is the Sawmill Elf in Prif Dinis, who now stocks 500 per day and is very close to a bank chest. The store in Keldagrim, the Dwarf City, sells a chunk of these as well, and is close if you have a Luck of the Dwarves ring for the Keldagrim teleport. And lastly, there's Razmir in Morton, who stocks 1,000 limestone bricks per day, but is the most inconvenient, as you basically need to have Shades of Morton complete the quest, Razmir cured permanently, and he is far from a bank even with the best teleports. One thing I observed is that the shop stock of all these are a bit different than what the wiki says right now, at least with the Prif Elf, because he now stocks 500 instead of 250 like before, I think. And his stock regenerates very quickly, so if you have access to Prif, this is the way to stock up on the bricks. There's one more important thing to know if you're doing this for construction experience. As you build up the fort, you'll see that one of the available hotspots for a section is highlighted. This optimal section gives better experience than others, and the optimal spot changes every minute or so from the looks of it. Aside from the better base experience, building at an optimal spot also gives you this perfect build buff. From what I can see, it starts at 100% when you start a new section of the fort. It gives 1% extra experience per 5% of perfect build buff, so up to 20% extra construction experience. But the buff diminishes if you don't build in the optimal hotspot. I also think that the building goes slower if you're not on the optimal spot, I think, just from observationally speaking, so keep this in mind if you need construction experience, like me. Now let's talk about what the fort gives us. Even very early on in the quest, to get started, we can see that the initial workshop area that we have brings us a smithing area with furnace and anvil, an archaeology workbench, and invention workbench. Nice. This is definitely meant to become a new social skilling area, and of course has that bank chest nearby, which makes it super convenient. Upgrading the workshop to tier 2 buffs the construction experience you get a bit further within the fort, and allows for remote access of your invention machines. I find this really nice, since one of the most annoying dailies in my opinion is running to the Invention Guild to replenish those machines. Accessing and using them through this interface here is a nice time saver if you're already in the fort. And upgrading the workshop to tier 3 will further buff construction experience earned in the fort, as well as boost the power of invention machines by 25%. I presume this means the speed at which they process. It's not really clear actually, but nice anyways. Next up, let's look at the Town Hall. This building adds another bank chest, and easily the most unique feature of this whole update, and the most debated, I think, which is rested experience. This is basically experience you earn slowly in the form of claimable bonus experience for either being logged out or skilling in the fort. From what we can see on the RuneScape website post about this, as you upgrade tiers of your Town Hall, the rate of rested experience you gain from skilling inside the fort increases, as does the cap of how much experience can be stored, up to the equivalent of 15 small lamps. It appears that the rate of gaining rested experience stays the same for being logged out, regardless of tier. The bonus experience can be claimed at Aster in the hall and applied to any skill. Doing some quick math here, with a tier 3 Town Hall, you'll gain 1% of a small star for every minute of skilling in the fort. Taking a skill in the high 90s as an example, a small star is worth 10,000 bonus experience. It'll take 100 minutes to get one of these, so 1 hour and 40 minutes of skilling in the fort actively. And you can store up to 15 of these, right, for about 150,000 bonus experience, using this example. Earning 15 of these through skilling in the fort will thusly take you 25 hours of active skilling time for that total bonus experience of 150,000 before you have to claim. That means that your logged out time resting experience can get you at most 50,000 bonus experience per 25 hours of being logged out, because it's just a third of the logged in active skilling experience at tier 3. For reference, by the way, the most experience you can get from the Dream of Aya with maxed resources is just over 40,000 per day, so it's pretty close. Well, Aya might give you a bit more than that now due to the next building in the fort. Let's check it out next, but to wrap up the Town Hall really quick, I'd say that this is one of the first buildings you should look into upgrading to tier 3 to gain the most passive experience, especially if you plan on skilling in the fort. Also, there are a few floors of apparently useless content in the Town Hall, at least with the tier 3 upgrade. There have been hints of future activities and combat-related content involving the fort, so maybe these areas will be used later, or just for sitting on benches, or just to look nice and make this thing immersive. The command center brings even more passive activities into a single place for easy management. Namely, from this building you can manage your Miscellanea Kingdom, ports voyages, archaeology research, and Anachronia resources. Furthermore, each tier of the command center you upgrade adds additional little perks to each of these. At tier 1, your ports voyages will get a 3% boost to the success rate of their voyages. At tier 2, ports voyages get another 3% success boost, and you gain 5 extra Anachronia workers. And archaeology research costs are reduced by 3%. At tier 3, ports voyages gain an additional 4% success chance for a total of 10%. You get an additional 5 Anachronia workers for a total of 10. Archaeology research speed is increased by 3%, and finally you can buy off respect for Miscellanea and hold it for up to a week. So if you're inclined, you can just pay your Miscellanea subjects to be happy with you instead of manually going over there and mining coal or chopping wood for them every few weeks. A side benefit I see here is in the Anachronia workers, because if you have access to the Dream of Aya, the tier 3 building will give you 10 more workers to collect resources, which adds up to a bit more resources and experience over time that you can spend at Aya stations. The last building you can manage in the fort is the chapel, aka the last nail in the coffin of player-owned house altar skilling. As if that was still a thing anymore. Honestly, I don't know if it still was. Anyway, the unique aspect of the chapel is that players can contribute any herb to the burners to give prayer experience while offering bones, as well as give a chance to preserve bones or ashes offered. Each tier just makes experience and preservation rates better and better, matching player-owned house altar bonuses of 350% prayer experience at tier 3. The thing is that the timer for the boost given by burning herbs is global for all players, so whenever a player adds herbs to burners, it adds time for everyone, which also increases more for you specifically depending on the tier of your chapel. So far, I'm not seeing any herbs burned or active here. I think everybody is too busy building the fort on this day of release, so we'll keep an eye on this, see how it goes, if it actually becomes a popular prayer skilling spot or not. And of course, higher tiers of the chapel allow you to customize it to the deity of your choosing. So that covers all the buildings and their perks. The tiers of each building require different construction levels, starting at level 1 for the basic workshop, all the way up to level 99 for the tier 3 command center. As far as training construction here, it seems resource effective and competitive compared to existing methods. It requires a mix of semi-intensive bag shuffling. It requires a mix of semi-intensive resource production and also very AFK-able building after that. You can rebuild tiers of each building over and over again without affecting anything, also for experience that way. Please be careful when choosing which blueprint you want to start, by the way, at the blueprint bench, because I chose the wrong one on accident and it automatically takes your frames and stone wall segments away. This caused me to run out of oak planks, and this being an iron account, subsequently caused me to chop oak logs nearby, which was really irritating, so just be careful with that. Anyway, I don't know what happens if you have a tier 3 building and you choose to build the tier 1 version of it from the blueprint bench, but also you have no real reason to do that if you're just going for experience. And that is the whole rundown of the fort. Welcome. My final 2 cents on this, I really love it. I don't see anything game-breaking here that lots of players were worried about. The most controversial part of the update amongst players was the rested experience, as a lot of players were upset at the idea of gaining bonus experience for doing nothing or being logged out. The thing is, we already have a lot of that type of content in RuneScape. A great example is everything that the fort touches. Invention machines, anachronia, miscellanea, ports, archaeology research. Oh, by the way, we also have treasure hunter and double experience events 4 times a year, including right now, which makes all the aforementioned combined nearly useless in terms of experience gain when you compare to what treasure hunter and double experience gives players. In recent YouTube videos and on Reddit, I've posed the question to players of how much passive experience and passive content is too much for RuneScape. How much would you call reasonable to streamline outdated or obsolete grinds, and how much takes away from what makes RuneScape RuneScape? The answers I got varied wildly, because different scapers play for very different reasons. But especially as someone that only plays on an Iron account now, who is also a full adult with a full-time job and family and a full-time life, I do really appreciate quality of life updates like this and bits of passive content introduced here and there. I also don't think content like this really takes away from players looking to earn the hard grinds the old school way and properly earn their achievements for it. I calculated once that it would take 1 month to get herb lore from level 98 to 99 using only Dream of Aya, or any skill that you can do at Dream of Aya really. A player that wants to get the supplies and grind herb lore can easily do 98 to 99 in half a day of intensive clicking, instead of 1 month. Many players are still scared that passive content will invalidate old achievements, but the benefit is still nowhere near the same. No one is going to be walking around with a level 99 or level 120 herb lore cape and saying, I got this all at Aya and Herby Werby. Like, never, not even in 10 years of playing RuneScape. Anyways, this type of passive content is just something for players like me who would love to, but cannot spend too much time in the amazing fantasy world of RuneScape anymore, but still feel like there's some progress being made if I pop in every now and then. Also, Fort Forinthry addresses, at least a little bit, something that has been turning off a lot of players, which is the overwhelming amount of dailies there are to deal with now. And part of this has to do with how much you have to travel and teleport to and go to the location of many dailies or weekly activities. Especially for players with limited time or who just like to pop in on mobile and send out some ships and manage archaeology research, for example. I don't think it hurts the adventuring spirit of the game to bring more of these management activities into one place. Not to mention that you still need to periodically visit multiple places like your port for anything outside of basic activities, so it's not like you never have to go there again to a lot of places in the world just because you have the fort. There is a great sense of adventuring when you're first starting out an activity and manage it on location, but when you've been playing for months or years, or you're this close to throwing your computer out the window because you still don't have all the port scrolls needed for that achievement, the adventuresome traveling part becomes more of a chore that players start to resent. This is day of release, so I'm sure that I missed a lot of details here, but these are my thoughts for now, and now I'd like to know yours. Leave us some comments. What do you think of the fort? My review is overall very positive for the future of RuneScape, at least in the way that I like to play, and that I want to continue playing. But do you see any red flags that concern you? What do you want to see next for the fort or for RuneScape in general? What excites you, and what worries you? Tell us. Also, if you enjoyed this and want to see other RuneScape content and helpful guides, and thought ramblings, please consider liking this video and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching and supporting my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.
A threat looms over the three Saradominist kingdoms. We have suffered through famine and war. We need time. But in the wilderness beyond the northern border, Zamorakian forces ready for the attack. The kingdom of Mistalin stands at the forefront. The other kingdoms can offer little aid. We are not prepared to fight another war. Even the city of Varrock is vulnerable. We must do what we can to protect the undefended lands to the south. In the near wilderness is a site of strategic importance, a vale that has seen countless battles. Claim this place, establish a fortification there, and be ready for the retaliation when it comes. Do this, and we will declare your domain a new duchy of the kingdom. You will rule over it in our name as a peer of the realm.